Okay guys, I wanted to show you what you can do with the patterns for the Aquaman armor. This armor is not completely finished, it's partially assembled. I want to show you some of the techniques, some of the assembly things, some alternative techniques you can use for molding and everything. So here we go. Basically you get the Gauntlet armor, and here is one of the gauntlets I did. It's a one-piece armor, and I cut it out, and then I used a hot knife to do the borders, and then cut out the scales. You have I think 5 different scales, maybe a little bit more, that come in the templates, and then you can cut those out and do them as detailed as you want. This was a quick assembly just to show you what you can do with it. Took the template, then I just took the triangle scales, different sizes, glued them on in a pattern that I liked, similar to Aquaman, but different. Then I just covered it in creature cast neoprene, which I use to seal all my props and armor now. And it's great, it's flexible, and it takes acrylic paints and all paints very easily, unlike latex, which you have to use a special like rubber cement paint mixture. So I covered this in the neoprene, then I dry brushed gold and a little bit of wash of green. That's just a quick knockoff. So you can do much more detailed if you want to, but this is what you'll get. You'll get a left, and then you flip it, of course, for the right. Then here's the thigh armor, and it can be heat shaped. As you can see, this is a 6mm EVA foam from TNT Cosplay Supply. And what I did is I used the hot knife, or the wood burning tool, burnt the scales into the foam, and then I used paracord for the border instead of using EVA foam, and then just coated it in neoprene. And I didn't use any quick seal or anything because I just wanted to do a demo and show you different techniques for the video since the patterns are up. And then you can heat shape it and then add strapping to it, whether it's Velcro or elastic strapping, or mount it to other pieces of armor if you want to. The gauntlets have 2-inch wide elastic strapping hot glued inside. Then you come to the Shin armor, which is, you have the inside and outside, which are different shapes, and then it just has a simple border on it like there, which I used the wood burning tool to put in. And you can take the scales and put them in any pattern that you want, whether it's Aquaman or just something creative. And then what it is it's glued at the back, but then in the front he has these scales showing, so it's opened up here, so you could put, if you don't want to glue it at the back, put elastic back there so you can put the armor on, easy on, easy off, or Velcro, whichever you want to do, personal preference. And then I took the scales that are in the template and I layered them, simply overlapped them, glued them together on another strip of EVA foam, and then I glued it overlapping about 1/4 inch on either side of this and glued it in there, and that gives you the front of the Aquaman armor. And that's just a simple, there's no borders, there's no extra like I'll show you on the chest piece. I didn't use puff paint on it, that's just the simple scales that come with the templates. So that's the Shin armor, heat formed a little bit to contour to your leg and your calf area, and then that's you get the patterns for the shins there. Then you have the torso with the shoulder piece, and of course the back piece. And the back piece, you have all the detail there. And then the shoulder armor, which is left side, and just flip it for right side. When you assemble the shoulder armor, make sure the fronts are facing front, of course, and then part 1 overlaps on 2, 2 on 3, 3 on 4. So it's an overlap down. Part 1 is closest to the neck. Then you can either Velcro it or use elastic strapping or whatever to attach it to the shoulder piece or to the torso piece. And this is 6mm foam, so I overlapped it the same thickness as the foam. I didn't heat shape it at all. Make sure and then I didn't put any scales on this. You can do the same thing that I did with the scales here, is overlap them, cut out a bunch of scales, overlap them in the pattern that you want, and place them on the shoulder piece. This, I didn't do that. That's a lot of work, and I wanted to get the video up. I can show you a finished one later if you want, but this gives you an idea of what you can do with it, and then just place all the scales on there. Or you could draw the scales on, take a knife or the soldering or the wood burning tool and burn them into the foam, and then you have the scales in there. But I don't like that method for the scales. I think the overlapping technique looks better. And then, so there's the shoulder piece. You do a left and a right, of course. Then you have the torso, which will be the pattern for the torso. Comes in a left side, and the back is the left side. All you do is flip it over, match it up, and you get the right side. So you just match it up on the seam and draw the whole front torso. And on the pattern, you're going to see, I did neoprene texture over part of it to show you certain things, and I left it blank for certain things so I could show you some techniques. On the pattern, there's dotted line on the front and back of the armor. That's where the scales go on Aquaman. On here, and here he has scales. Here and here he has scales. You can heat shape the pectoral muscle if you want to give it a contour, and then add the scales, do a strip of scales, and add them to these sections, butting them up against each other. And when you come to the edge, you can trim them off. What I did for borders is, as an example, I used paracord on this side to show you what it would look like. So it's rounded, and then on this side, I used just a 1/4-inch strip of EVA 2mm foam and glued it onto the armor there for a border, and went around with that. And then I did overlapping scales here, and then I just cut the scales, burned the scales in here. I don't like this method, so it's personal preference. I don't like this method. I like the overlapping the scales method. And then what I did here is I actually put some puff paint, if you can see it, on the edges to build up the edge, so you don't have to build that up. That's it without it. That's it with it. So I built up the edges with that. Puff paint helps quite a bit if you want to add some extra dimension to it. Then all the other panels on the armor, example, you can see here, it's just done with the hot knife. I just burnt into the foam the pattern. You could leave that if you want, or different sections of the armor, take different thicknesses of foam, 2mm, 4mm, whatever you want to do, and take these panels and build them up so they're more dimensional in sections. So this could be built up more to match the scales, the border of the scales. You could match up, you could do the belt more. This is the neoprene. The neoprene actually gives it a great texture. It seals the foam really nicely, and then you can paint right on it. So what I did for here is I glued the shoulder tops together, and I would recommend doing the shoulder tops together, doing one side together, and then on the other side you can leave this open and then put Velcro inside there, so all you do is slip in one side, and all you have to do is do one attachment here, and then you're in your armor very quickly, and then you undo the Velcro there and you're out of your armor very quickly. Back piece, same thing. There's scales here, and you can build up the spine piece here, more dimensional with another piece of foam. Same thing here. The border you can do more dimensional. You can leave this example low here, build this up, do a border here, whatever you want to do, however much detail you want to put into it, however much work you want to put into it, is whatever you can do. This is the basics, shapes of the pieces you'll need to make an Aquaman armor or an Atlantean style armor based off of, inspired by the Aquaman armor from Justice League. So it gives you an idea of what you can do. There's different scales. There's triangle scales. There's these scales. I think a triangle with a little wedge in the middle, 4 or 5 different scale types, different sizes too, so that you can have different scales for your borders and everything. So this is EVA foam. This is nothing. It's very simple to work with. You can use floor mats, but that's a bit thicker than this. So with the patterns, you can print them out, and it's a PDF file, so you can enlarge it or shrink it to whatever size you need, do a test fitting, account for the thickness of the foam, so you can have the armor fit you better. You can do a duct tape dummy if you want, torso or whatever, or you can just fit it as you go along. Or instead of connecting both side seams, you can leave them both open, and then you just pull it over your head, and then you do a Velcro or elastic on either side here, and then it has some give for you for when you're bending. It'll flex open and close. And that's the basics of the Aquaman Armor templates. I'll post some pictures. I will try and finish this up, but I wanted to get this up to give you an idea of what you're getting in the kit, in the template, the 4 templates on Etsy. I'll put a link into my page below, and if you have any questions, as always, you can ask me on my Etsy page or on here below in the comment section. And have fun with the Aquaman armor, and I'll show you my finished one when I go to my Comic-Con here in June. So I'll show you my finished armor. And I'll try and finish up this piece, at least coat it in black and do a quick gold paint on it so that you guys can see it finished. But I wanted you to see the different techniques on it, the different where the lines go, and how the wood burning tool looks bare and with just black on it and no gold. So now you know, and then you can do it up as much as you want. So have fun with it, and thanks for watching, guys. Check out my store. I also have a Loki crown kit on there, and I'm going to be working on a Batman Justice League tactical armor patterns for that too. That'll be coming in a couple weeks to a month. Okay? Thanks, guys. Bye.